Before I begin speaking about aesthetics and specifically about beauty, I'm gonna give a preliminary sketch of the concepts I'll be using, gather my tools, and lay the groundwork before I start building upwards. So the first thing to understand is when we talk about beauty, we're not talking about an intrinsic quality of the world. The term beauty is a relationship of observer to observed. In other words, there's a consciousness evaluating, judging, appreciating that which we call beauty. And I will try to define as best I can what that means. So from the beginning we realize that without consciousness there is no possibility of being aware, appreciating, acknowledging, perceiving beauty. So the first step is to understand what this entity which produces consciousness is in a very brief way, because I'm not going to go into much detail, about ontology and metaphysics and all that. So an organism, a living organism, is the only thing we know of which is conscious. Consciousness is an extension of the organism, and as the word organism implies, an organism is an organization of parts, of organs, of cells. Another word for organization is ordering. Since the organism is never complete, it's never whole, it's never final, it's never perfect, it is always in the process of becoming. It's moving towards being. So the nature of life, of existence in general, is an activity, a movement, what I call interaction. Now the organism is the only one that can direct itself as a movement towards, and this giving of direction is what we call a will. So the organism is a self-ordering emergent unity. I call it emergent unity because it's never a complete unity, as I said before. So ordering and organizing are the same thing. So an ordering would, of course, perceive only order, because it cannot perceive what is not like itself. It cannot perceive randomness, and it cannot perceive an order that is more complex than what its sense organs evolved to perceive. So it cannot perceive chaos, randomness, and it cannot perceive complexity beyond a certain point. So, but it can perceive ordering. What is an ordering? It's a repetitive pattern. An ordering activity is a pattern. That's what all it means. A pattern is another word for it. So it perceives patterns. So of course, an ordering, a self-ordering entity would perceive and appreciate patterns. So this is the first sign of what we are going to explore as beauty. Beauty is a form of order above the average. It's a level of order which the organism can appreciate. This is the first level of beauty, of what we define as beauty. It's a very objective starting point. So the objective appreciation of order is as beauty, as symmetry. Symmetry is another word for it. Harmony is another word for it. All these words have expressed the same idea in a different context because, well, often, especially in modern times, we use the same word in different contexts. And this, of course, obscures the meaning of the word. It makes it meaningless. And with the decline of literacy and vocabulary usage, the application of certain terms across the board in different contexts reduces the meaning of the word itself. The word becomes meaningless. It loses detail. It loses precision. So the organism, because it is ordering, appreciates order out there other than itself. It is attracted to order. It can only perceive order. Its senses evolved to perceive patterns, to gather patterns, and with them constructs abstractions. And later, these abstractions can be combined and become ideas. So this is the first level, the objective level of appreciating beauty, which is order. Now we have to add to this the other component, because organisms begin as they are self-ordering, but they're also self-replicating, and they begin by dividing. This is the first method of reproduction. They then evolve the second level of reproduction, which involves combining. Instead of dividing, they start combining. And this also requires a judgment, the appreciation of other, in order for the combination to occur. This is the beginning of sex, sexual intercourse. So when the organism appreciates within that context, keeping in mind what we said before, that beauty is order, is another word for order, of symmetry. What the organism appreciates, excuse me, sorry about that. So when in the reproductive sexual context, what does the organism that wants to reproduce by combining with another appreciate in the other? Well, he appreciates the other's order, in the sense that the other is made up of organs, or if we reduce it down to its lowest level, the organism is a collection, a collective of patterns working together in harmony, in symmetry. That's what symmetry is, this relationship of one pattern with another. And the living organism is an aggregate of patterns working in congruence. So when in the sexual context the organism appreciates in the other organism not only the pattern of similarity with itself, which will make reproduction possible, but also the other's proportions. This is what symmetry is in the sexual context. That is how each organ, each pattern in the organism relates to the other, what the proportions are one with the other, how the entire thing combines. In the sexual context, of course, for the male, it's the female's sexual parts, components. Whereas for the female, the appreciation is more broad, because she has to evaluate the male's genetic health, which is its past, manifested as in the present as appearance. She has more invested in the reproductive game. So for her, the appreciation of patterns includes everything about the male, not only his parts and their proportions, but also the mind, which he evaluates by interacting with it intellectually. Sense of humor, intelligence are evaluated. The male is really interested in the potential for the female to complete gestation and bring a healthy child into the world. So his investment is much lower. So his evaluation of the female's proportions uh, remain limited to her sexual, the parts that are involved in the reproductive process. So the second uh, definition of beauty is uh, dealing with the erotic is proportionality. So it's not in the eye of the beholder. In the eye of the beholder means nothing. It reduces beauty to a nothing, to a nonsense. It could be anything to anybody, means it is nothing. So the first definition of beauty that a human can appreciate is order, organization, pattern, and how these patterns interact, as in harmony, symmetry. The second uh, context, which an organism, especially a human being, can appreciate beauty, can define beauty, is in relation to the erotic, the sexual, the reproductive, how the different organs are in proportion to the others and how they all interact in harmony to create a singular organism, an ordering. Now there's another component to beauty, far more abstract, and this involves another factor, which is anxiety, believe it or not. Oftentimes, humans mistake the effect something has upon them for what the other is. For instance, if somebody makes them feel good, they think this other is good. And if somebody gets them angry and they begin hating this person, then they ascribe to it the essence of hatred. And so the world fills the organism with a sense of anxiety, anxiety towards possibility. That's why the organism is attracted to order. Order is a reduction of possibility and the increase of probability. And the organism, when I say it's attracted to order or patterns, it's attracted to specific patterns that contribute to its own ordering. In other words, it recognizes patterns outside itself, which it can assimilate within itself. This is the feeding process. And when it evaluates the other's sexual potential, it evaluates the similarities of the other and how he could, and their potential to bring about life. So in nature, the sense of awe is one. Of awe is a sense of anxiety coupled with joy, because uh, to be in awe is to be happy that you have possibility, spaces, the an expansion of possibilities, and to be able to move within it is a happy, a joyous occasion. It's a it's what the organism most desires, because it opens up new possibilities for it and also new threats. So the organism's relationship to the world is ambivalent. It's it feels awe before it. So why do we call scenery or an abstraction beautiful? Because it fills us with awe. It fills us with fear, and we ascribe to it a threat, but it also fills us with the potential, with possibilities, which is space. So space fills us with that sense of awe to appreciate a landscape. And of course, humans intrude upon nature and they order landscape. That's what garden is, right? You place, or parks, you place nature in a humane, ordered fashion. That is, you reduce the threat component, and you increase the sense of joy in moving within this space, which is now less threatening. So you increase joy and you reduce fear. So that's another way of appreciating beauty. Uh, Nature is beautiful because it's brimming with vitality and life, and that reminds us of our own. So we perceive our own potentials, our own essence in other living organisms, even ones that are not related to us, like plants, and we can appreciate that order in them, that's their own symmetry. We can detach ourselves from our own interest and appreciate it empathically, objectively, or as objectively as we can.